Welcome to Dear Tay, You Got This. This podcast is a weekly motivational love letter to those who are looking for a change, are currently going through a change, and they need just a little pick-me-up. Tay is a transformation and spiritual coach and author who understands that one small habit over 1 year can create a lifetime of growth. First, we will talk about our topic, and at the end of each episode, I will do a trinity. The trinity is a brag, gratitude, and desire. If you'd like to share your wins, questions, and trinity, please call or text 330-552-7234 to be featured on the podcast. I love hearing about your success and how you are transforming. To learn more about your host, visit her Instagram page, Phoenix of Change. In April of 2023, I found a certification program called Mental Health First Aid. As a coach, I felt that it was important for me to learn ways to talk to people, especially if they are experiencing a mental health crisis. Working with people going through trauma could be a daily occurrence, and I wanted to be prepared. During the next couple of months, I will be doing a self-care series. I will be talking about the different types of self-care and how I use them during my first year of consistent healing practices. Note that your experience may be different and that I was not actively using these techniques at the beginning, but they grew into my life. Self-care is all about putting your oxygen mask on first to be able to help others. Self-care are the activities and practices that you engage in to help reduce stress and maintain your health and well-being. It is meant to refuel you, not deplete you. The areas of self-care that can help your overall well-being include intellectual, emotional, environmental, physical, spiritual, financial, community, and occupational. In 2022, I decided that I wanted to be more consistent in my business. And one of the ways that I thought to do that was to grow my TikTok following. Now, at the time, I was making videos, but I didn't feel like they were reaching the audience that I was looking for. So what did I do? I needed to have a catch. So my catch was doing sock videos. And basically what that means is I got on TikTok every morning. I uploaded a video saying, hey, these are my socks for the day, my motivational speech, and then showed everyone my socks. Surprisingly enough, I ended up having over 230 plus pair of socks. And trust me, the collection is still extensive. Now, the 230 pairs grows every single day, every single week, every single month. But I can tell you that one of the places that I ended up getting socks from was Chakra Wonders. When I went on their website, not only did I see that they had socks, but I also saw that they had artwork, mugs, hats, and even some books. It is such a great place to go to, especially if you're looking for something that is going to... What I love about Chakra Wonders is that it's an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That is chakrawonders.com. Chakra Wonders is an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That's WONDERS.com. As we go into this first week of talking about self-care, and the things that I did in 2023, we're going to be talking about also the accomplishments that I made during the year of 2023. And the funny thing is, as I was going through the year, when I first started, one of the things I started doing was journaling. And then what I decided was to actually sit back and write down all of the accomplishments that I had during that month, which could be anything from being consistent in my business to my breakup to the first drink that I had in 8 months after not drinking. But I wanted to really capture all of the things that happened over my year instead of just the whole year. And when I started doing it, at first it was accomplishments by year. So I started in 2019, 2020, 21, and 22, and realized that I didn't really know exactly what changed each month, but at least during the year, I knew exactly what had changed and what trajectory my life was going in. And this actually reminds me that I probably should get back to this and start doing that again for 2024. And really, what this does is it helps you to really actually see the changes that you're going through, which, when we're going through our healing process, is really what we want to see. We want to be able to define what that actually looks like. And for me, it was journaling. You can keep it in a notepad, you can put it on your phone, you can put it on your calendar. And make noteworthy notes, haha. You can take down noteworthy situations and put them in places so that you know like what exactly your accomplishments are. And I don't know, maybe I'll come up with something for that, because I think that it's super important when you're going through life in general. I remember when I was a pure romance consultant. I remember when I was a sexual health consultant, at one of the events that we had done, they had basically told us to put in our calendars on the first day of every month, that we were going to. That's not the one. Look, as I'm looking in my calendar right now. So what they did was they told us that on the first day of every month, they told us to put in a reminder to evaluate our goals and analyze them. And it's funny because I don't know, I've had this notification in my phone now for years. Like, I cannot tell you how long. I was a consultant for them for 8 years. So I can't tell you exactly what year it was that became a thing. Oh, actually I can. It was in May of 2018. I've had this note in my calendar to evaluate my goals and analyze them. And it's funny because I've never actually, in real life, let's just be real, I never actually did it then. I felt like then I didn't really have a reason to. It was about my goals in my business. So I wasn't really working it as much as I should have and done. So you can see, like, because I didn't do anything, there was nothing to analyze, right? But I guess at the end of the day, there really is. You can take down like, oh, I didn't do this, and I should probably add that more into my routine or something like that. But I did not do that. But in 2023, I went ahead and started doing that, and I took down notes of what I was doing each month. So from here on out, what you're going to hear is each week is going to be the 12 months of 2023. And I'm going to first start out by reading my accomplishments, basically what I wrote down as notes to myself of things that were happening. Some of these things were written down. I think when I first started this, I didn't start doing this until like March or April, I think. But I took down as many notes as I could and wrote those down. And then each month after that, I tried in that month to write down what was going on. So you guys are kind of just getting like my little notes and tidbits about things that I feel like were accomplishments during that month, after I stopped drinking and after I started waking up at 6 a.m. And you'll notice that throughout this, the only thing that doesn't fall off is me not drinking. Um, but other than that, you'll be able to see like the progression of each month in my life. And you'll see that some of the months have like a lot of significant changes, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead and start with January 2023, with the accomplishments that I felt like I had during that month. So I posted to TikTok every day for my business. I started to see a lot of growth and over the months got to 1,000 followers. My mood improved. I was angry a lot and felt like I wasn't doing anything in my business. Once I started getting up early, I was putting at least an hour and a half to 2 hours into my business. I wasn't rushing to work anymore. Things that bothered me about my coworkers, I started to let go of because that wasn't me. I began to show up differently in my relationships and my friendships. I wanted to let the past be the past and be more present with them. Be be that not only physically but emotionally and mentally. I wanted to be more attentive. I really wanted to pay attention to my actions. I still have a lot to learn and be mindful of, but I was determined to change who I was before. Even as things got bad and my attitude still needed work, I didn't drink. I had some hard times. And it was really hard. Every day I had to be mindful of the fact that I wanted to drink. And I didn't. And that in and of itself was an accomplishment. Now, what I wanted to do was also integrate these things with the self-care practices because a lot of those things actually fall into the physical, occupational, and community self-care bubbles. And the reason why I bring that up is because as I was putting together this outline, I had like looked at my accomplishments and put each one into like one category. And now I realize that it is possible that you're going to be pulling from multiple categories on a monthly basis. Now, every day, probably not. But when you're setting up your schedule to start your self-care plan, you can pull from as many of these areas as you want. It doesn't have to be just finite, like, oh, I have to work on this month. Now, there may be one that outweighs the others, which in the going months you will find, for me, that I focused on some things some months and some things other months, but all in all, there are pieces of these things scattered. So when it comes down to the physical self-care plan and routine, that can include exercise, playing sports, doing yard work, going outside and just playing. It really is anything that you can physically do that helps you to relieve stress. Okay. For me, during the month of January, it was stopping drinking and it was waking up early. I decided to change these two things because one, my attitude was shitty. I tell people that all the time. When people ask me why I stopped drinking, I tell people all the time, my attitude was shitty. And it was. I was numbing everything that I was going through in life by drinking. And then I was saying to myself, I'm going to handle it later. And I never did. So all it was doing was building up this little ball of anger. And if you've ever met me, you know that that's basically what it was. Like I was just this little ball of anger. And it wasn't me. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that by changing my sleeping habits, by getting up earlier, one of the things that I was able to do was actually put time and effort into something that I really enjoyed, something that I wanted to grow. And it also helped me to not rush into work. I don't know how many of you now wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I have to be at work at 10. I'm going to get out of bed at 9:30 because it only takes me 15 minutes to get to work. I'm going to throw on some clothes. I might grab a bagel. I might grab some coffee, and then I'm going to head into work. If you do that, How often do you feel rushed? Then you come home, you know that you have a whole bunch of things to do, but you've been at work all day, and you come home and you really don't want to do any of that. Now, I can only talk for myself because I live by myself with my cats. So I don't have anybody to answer to when I get home. I don't have to, get the kids ready for doing their homework or, make dinner for my family or anything like that. Like, I don't have to do those things when I get home from work. But either way, having a business and trying to grow that and then literally waking up at 8 o'clock, getting to work by 8:15, working until almost 8 o'clock because I had no wits about myself and decided that I was just going to do all the things and then come home. I don't want to work on my business. I don't want to make a TikTok. I don't want to create content. I don't want to do any of that. I want to sit down. I want to veg. I want my brain to kind of just like do nothing. And that was happening a lot. And the problem was I was getting angry at work. I was getting angry with my coworkers for good reason, I feel, but I was getting angry with my coworkers. I felt like my business wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't bringing in any money. I wasn't getting any new clients. And on top of that, when it came to TikTok, my goal was to get 1,000 followers so that I could go live because just like podcasting, I can be on here for as long as I want and I can talk about whatever I want. And live gives me the ability to do that. So my goal was to get to 1,000 followers just so that I could do that. But I couldn't do that because I wasn't being consistent in my business at all. So by waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, what it did was it allowed me to get up. On some days I'd meditate, then I'd go take a shower. Then what I would do immediately after taking a shower is I would go and film a sock video because I was putting on my socks for the day. And I had to think about what it was that I was going to talk to people about because the format of my sock videos was I let everybody know what day of socks it is. And then I give them a tidbit or a tip on self-healing, on trauma release, on Reiki, on chakras, whatever it was. Maybe it was just some great quote. And then at the end of that video, I would show the people the socks. And that was my hook. My hook was my socks. You didn't get to see my socks until you heard my message. Right? So I did that. Then I would edit that. That would probably, if you've seen videos out here, not only that I've done, but other content creators have done, there is a lot of editing that goes into that. So I would edit that. Sometimes it would take 10 minutes. Sometimes it would take 30 minutes. Sometimes TikTok would mess up and I'd have to start all over again. But for the most part, like on average, it took me like 15 minutes to edit this video so that I could put it up on TikTok. And then I'd take that and put it up on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere that people's eyes could be, right? And what I started to notice was after that, I could go and I could eat breakfast, or I could just sit and have some tea, or I could just sit and read. I could have this time to do something for myself. And after that, then at 8:10, 8:15, I'd leave out the door. I'd drive the 15 minutes to work, and then I would go and do my job. And then I had to start cutting myself off from how much I worked. And that goes into the occupational piece of self-care. And the occupational piece is what kind of attitude do you have towards your job, towards the work that you do? Do you need to take time off? Is there a way that you can boost morale at work? Is there a way that you can help shift the environment at work so that it's more pleasurable to you? Do you need to get off earlier? Do you need to talk about your schedule with your boss? Whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that that place is somewhere pleasurable for you to be is occupational sex care. Wow. Just let you know where my brain is occupational self-care. Okay. And for me, it was really understanding what it was that I needed to do in my business but also how efficient I needed to be at my job so that I wasn't there until 7 or 8 o'clock. The issue with my full-time job was that we had an attorney who was super amazing, came in, set up all these processes, and then she ended up leaving to go to a different job. And when she left, a lot of the responsibilities that she did fell on me because I'm pretty sure this is not what happened, but it was almost like she was grooming me to also know all of the practices and everything of the office. And for that reason, when she left, it all of a sudden everything fell on me. So it was like, okay, let's figure out some new processes. Let's make sure that everything's running smoothly. Let's do this, let's do that. And because of that, I ended up staying at work until 7:30, 8 o'clock on some nights. And my friends were like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Well, I had a lot of stuff to get done. The overtime is going to help with bills, this and that, and blah, blah, blah." But in reality, what I was doing was I was throwing myself into work because I was trying to avoid everything else. I was trying to avoid fixing my life. So if I was at work doing work, how possibly could I take the time out of my life to actually work on the things that I needed to work on, like my attitude, like the feelings that I felt towards my ex-husband, like the things that were going on in my relationships at the time? How could I do that if every single day I was waking up at 8:15, rushing and putting on clothes, walking out the door, getting to work at 8:30, working until 8 o'clock, and then coming home and being like, I really don't want to make dinner. I'm going to have a sandwich or pizza rolls. How real does that sound, right? And that was the thing. I was avoiding a lot of the things that I needed to take care of by throwing myself into work. And I told myself, I made the excuses of, well, I just need more money. The overtime is going to help. Was I getting paid enough? No. Right? So, yes, that was definitely a great excuse on why I was working more. But at the same time, I was stressing myself out because then I'd come home and feel like I wasn't getting anything accomplished because I wasn't working on my business, because I wasn't bringing in coaching clients, because I wasn't running my workshops, because I wasn't promoting, marketing, emailing, all of these things. And for that reason, something had to change. I had to change what was going on in my occupational place. Now, in January, I didn't even know what that looked like. And you'll see as we go further what that occupational change looks like, because I did switch jobs in 2023. And I ended up at a better place where I got paid more. Or I should say where I get paid more, where I actually come to work and I'm happy. I'm delighted to be there. Do I still get stressed out? Yes, but not as much as I did at my other job. And that's because at my other job, I had all these other responsibilities and I was at work until 8 o'clock. Again, not every day. So when I started to get up early, I was able to really see like what it was that I needed to change within my job, within my business, and how I could really start to propel myself forward in those areas so that I was no longer angry, so that I no longer felt like I wasn't getting anything done, like my business wasn't going anywhere. Like that was huge. It was huge. Super huge. And that's the thing when it comes to self-care, when it comes to looking at each of these areas in your life and understanding that in order to make me feel better, in order to make it so that I can be there for other people, I have to start giving to myself. And the issue that we see now is that most people think that this has to do with being selfish. And in reality, what I say to those people is, yes, I'm going to be selfish because I can't be there for you as my friend, as my sister, as my brother, as my, confidant if I am not doing okay. And then some people will look at that and say, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. But other people will be like, well, that takes away from the time that you're giving me, the attention that you're giving me. That takes away from what we're trying to build, how we're moving in life. That takes away from your social calendar and all of these things. But in reality, does it? There are things for me that I listen to and I think, this doesn't sit well with me. Most people will say, well, you make time for the things that you want. And I can agree with that to an extent. And I think that's because the thing that we want most in our lives, the things that we want most to accomplish, cannot happen if we continue to put that goal on the back burner to go do everything else. I'm recording this on a Saturday morning, and I went out last night and I was talking to somebody. They want to take me out to lunch and get to know me. And I'm like, that's fine. We can totally do that. Let me know when you want to and what time we're going to meet, like where we're going to meet at. And they were like, oh, we can do that right now. And I was like, well, we can't because I have to record. I'm putting the importance of my business right now before I go socialize. I'm still going to go socialize. But I have to look at what it is that I truly want in my life. And I have to put that first. If that's being selfish, I don't want to be any other way. And that's the truth. You create a schedule, you create a budget, you create a plan to get to where you want to go. And you don't deviate from that plan. Because just like in my life, especially in January 2023, I needed to have a little bit of structure that showed me that I was actually accomplishing the goals that I wanted to accomplish. And sometimes when we see it with our eyeballs, that's when we can decide like, this is working. And that's what happened within that first month. My attitude started to die down a little bit. And as you can, like I said, I think I will go back into the numbers, but I think it took me nope, because I started doing consistent videos in November. So I will say it took me about 6 months to get to 1,000 followers. And that was with posting every day and all of that jazz. And so I wrote that in April, probably about. So in January, I could see over time, like over the course of that month, how my attitude towards my job, my 9 to 5, changed within just a few short weeks because I started to get up earlier and start to take care of myself. I started to give myself care. And that's really what this is all about. So also within my accomplishments, I talk about the community piece because I had friends who I wanted to hang out with and friends who I had kind of put on the back burner because of, I was working until 8 o'clock, right? I was in a relationship at the time and I felt like we weren't getting enough time. So I had to switch these things around. I had to completely switch around what I was doing in my life so that I could help change the atmosphere of my community. Now, when it comes to community and self-care, that includes your friends, your family, and the people that you interact with. And that's whether you're going out to the club or you go to an escape room or whatever it is, right? It's your community, it's your tribe. It's the people that you go to when you're having a problem, or the people that you go to when you want to celebrate. That is your community. And just like everything else in your life, you have to nurture your community. You have to show up. You have to be there. And I can tell you, yes, I had been there for my community, but not in the way that I was proud of. Many, many years before this, I had been that friend who only told people about the bad things when things got to the point where I felt like I could not fix them anymore. And it's funny because I tell people now that I called myself the damsel in distress friend. So even though I was very like happy-go-lucky and like, I had this wonderful zeal for life, there were a lot of times where like shit didn't go my way. In reality, there was a lot of that. And oftentimes what would happen is I would take all of these things and I would just let them build up because there's no point in talking about all the bad things. I didn't want to complain. I wanted to be more positive in my life. And in order for me to do that, that meant I can't complain. I have to push through. I have to go. And there's a meme now going around that says, check on your strong friends. Because one of the things that we do is we sometimes struggle in silence. And it is because people see us as that strong friend. We're resilient. We can handle this. We're motivated to move on. Like we got this. We bounce back quick. And those are all great qualities to have. But I know that some of you guys out there are like, yo, I just wish somebody would just check on me. And to that, I say, how are you doing, friend? How are you really doing? And that's what the community is all about. I felt like as January of 23 had started to come into play, that I was not there for my friends like I needed to be. And yes, I had been burnt out from the summer summit that I had did the year before. And I had been burnt out regarding work. And I was not where I needed to be for my friends or for my family. And even now, I still feel like I could do more. I still feel like I could do more, right? But we all feel like that sometimes. Like, oh, I could be doing so much more. And yes, you can. But you have to first take care of yourself. You have to start nourishing yourself too. You can't just nourish everybody around you all the time, all day, every day, and forget about yourself. Because it's not going to work. And within my group of friends, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I started showing up different. I started calling people. I started sending text message. I started, really showing up if somebody needed something. I started to really show up. Now, the thing about that was, at the time, I wasn't sure if that actually changed anything between my community, between my friends. I'm not even sure if it did. But at the end of the day, I would talk to my therapist and I would tell her, like, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm, helping my friends. This is how I'm showing up more. And my therapist was like, that is all you can do. That's it. All you have to do is continue to show up. And the rest is history. Either it will work and things will get better, or it won't work and things will, fall away. And understanding that that's how life is, understanding that's, what happens. You hear about friendships falling away, and people will say, well, it's possible that that was just a season. And I've had a lot of seasons over 2023, like a lot of them. And we'll talk about some of those as we get further down the line in this self-care series. But it really is. What is it that we are looking to change? What are the actionable steps that we can take to make sure that we are refueling ourselves and that we're not depleting ourselves? How do we do that? Now, as I said at the beginning of this, this was not something that I did consistently and probably still don't do consistently. I don't necessarily have an action plan written down somewhere anyway of like self-care things that I'm going to do to refuel myself. But what I know is that in each of these categories, we can create something. We can create a plan that anytime something happens within our lives, we can go ahead and change it. And as I said, I didn't learn about the different areas of self-care until April, like the end of April. And I'm going back now and looking at what it was that I was doing on my own before I got this information that helped me to really understand my self-care. The biggest things that I did for myself was stop drinking and waking up and starting to wake up early. And so when it comes down to your life and the things that you're going through and looking at the physical, the occupational, and the community parts of self-care, what is it that you can do this month? 3 things in each of these areas that you can do this month that will help you to rejuvenate yourself, to help you want to be there for other people, to help you really understand what your place is to you in your life. Create that plan and make it super, super simple. Like I said, do one thing. And what you can do is you can say this week, for my physical self-care, I'm going to take a walk and I'm going to do at least 2,000 steps. I say that as a personal thing because as I am talking to you all, I have 1,670 steps. Now, I'm going to say that there's a little bit of cheating in that. Why? Because technically my watch starts over at midnight and I was out last night at doing karaoke and walking around the bar and walking to my car and all of these things, right? So I kind of have a little bit of extra oomph. So today my goal would probably be do like 4,000 steps, right? So that would be my physical. But within that, as a self-care, what is it that I'm going to be doing, planning, thinking about while on this walk? Right? Am I going to sit and think about work? Something that I should say the stressful part of work. Am I going to sit and think about that while I'm walking? Or do I want to be very intentional and really look at the flowers and watch the animals run around and listen to the wind blow, and things like that? Like, what is it that you're actually going to do? Right? And it doesn't have to be huge. Again, it can be very simple. Same thing with occupational. Look at your job or your business right now and think about what it is that you need in that space that's going to light a new fire or that's just going to relight the fire that you had. I knew that in some of the jobs that I've left previously, there was no way to relight the fire that I had for that job because I was over it. I liked the people, I liked the work that I did, but it was not where I needed to be for a lot of reasons. I'll give you an example. I worked at the prosecutor's office for 3 years. And the only thing, I didn't mind the work. Some of the attorneys were not productive. And I found that I was doing a lot of work and the attorneys weren't checking on that work for me to be able to do my job efficiently. And it got to be really annoying. So one of the things that I did to take back my time with one of these attorneys was I actually stopped doing that portion of my job. I stopped doing it because I knew that this person was not going to check my work. And I just let the cards fall where they fell. And one of the things that I did was I took note of all the things that I did and I went to my supervisor and I was like, hey, I've been tasked to do this. The attorneys are supposed to check it. These attorneys during their times have not been checking it, and this is what's been going on. Because this started to become a mundane part of my job. That I was like, I'm putting in all of this work, all of these hours to do this, but you're not doing your part so I can finish my part. And you know what ended up happening? Nothing. Nothing ended up happening. They didn't go back. They didn't talk to this person. And maybe they did, but nothing changed. I was watching the people around me who had been there for 3, 5, 10 years complain about the environment of our job. And one day I sat back and I was like, where would I be 5 years from now? Who would I be 5 years from now if I stayed here? And I saw myself so miserable. And at this time, I had been there almost 3 years. I saw myself so miserable. And I was like, it's time for a change. It's time for a change. And I quit my job that March. That was March of 2018. I quit my job that March. And one person I felt like she was trying to discourage me. Because when I said that I was actually going to be putting in my 2 weeks, she was like, oh, you said that before. And to be a complete asshole, I was like, well, I could also bring you a letter. Like, this person meant nothing to me, but I was like, I can totally bring you a letter as well when I put in my 2 weeks. So that you know. Oh, no, you don't have to do that. Yeah, okay, get off my back. Maybe before when I said it, I wasn't ready. And that's okay. But now I'm ready. Because now I've seen that after 5 years of being at this place, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be doing the same thing. Not going to get a really like a substantial raise, like anything. Like, what is this going to actually do for my life? Is it benefiting me? And at the end of the day, it was a no. It was not. So I had to make a change. But for you, that could just look like, you know what? I have all of this time saved up for vacation. I have all this PTO. I haven't been off work since January and it's now June. I need to take a break. What does that look like? Does it look like just being in your house and like actually taking care of house stuff? Does that look like going on a vacation? Does that look like taking a few days to just be, like, what does that look like to you? And that's what it is about occupational self-care. Is really when it comes to surrounding your job responsibilities, your work responsibilities, your business responsibilities. What is it that you need to make that more pleasurable for you? And then it's the same with community. Who are the people in your life that you want to spend more time with, who you want to go eat with, who you want to go do activities with that you haven't either in a while, or it's been like a month and you haven't seen this person and you're like, yo, I want to go to brunch just to catch up. And that's just to say, no, nothing is wrong. Nothing's going on, right? There's no big news. There's nothing. I just want to hang out because we haven't in a while. That could be going to a family reunion to go see people that you haven't seen in a couple years. It can be whatever you want it to be. But make sure that you create that plan. And again, make it simple. And then the biggest thing after that, the biggest thing is to take action. It's to actually go and do it. Don't set up, oh, I want to go on a pool date with my friends and then not set it up. I wanted to go to an escape room. And I was like, oh, this sounds like so much fun. And I have a few friends who would be interested in doing this. Like, oh, yeah. Would you guys be interested in this? And I talked to like my little group of people. And they're like, oh yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be awesome. Let's do that. What would have happened if I just stopped it right there and was like, okay, I have the interest, right? I have the people who are interested. That's as far as I go. No. Now you have to take action. I now have, I think I had, in that particular situation, I had like 8 people that I had talked to, maybe less, maybe like 6. I had 6 people that I talked to, and I was like, yeah, there's like, I think escape room can be like 6 to 8 people or something like that. So I was like, yeah, let's figure that out. And I was like, no, I definitely want to do this. So I started contacting people, and they were like, yeah, I'd be down, I'd be down, I'd be down. And some people were like, oh no, I actually can't do that anymore, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, okay, cool, no, not a problem. Thank you for letting me know. I'm about to get everybody else together. And then what I did was I went to the website and I looked up what games they had. And I was like, hey, what do you guys feel about these games? Oh, those are cool. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. Okay, cool. I picked one. I picked a time and a day. And I was like, because before that, I had already gotten everybody's like schedules, like when they would be available. So I picked the time, I picked the date, and I was like, hey, we got these Saturdays available at this time. Which ones are you guys free? And they were like, oh, I'm free this one, free this one. Majority of them picked that one. I can make that work, whatever. I was like, cool, done. Now we have to book it. All right. It's going to be $35 for each person. One friend, hey, can I give you cash? Absolutely. Other people, can I Zelle you? Can I Cash App you? Of course. I'm still going to pay for it so that we actually have the place. But I also need to confirm that you guys are actually coming to this thing. So send me your money. Awesome. Cool beans. Yeah, done. Put it on the calendar, put it on the books, let everybody know what they're supposed to do. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Sounds like a lot of steps. But if you really want to give yourself the energy, give yourself the self-care, you really have to make it happen. If that didn't happen, I'd have been sad. Like, I'd have been like, oh, why didn't somebody else do this? Why didn't somebody else do that? Bro, no. I got this. I got the information. I'm capable. Let me go ahead and do that. It's the same thing with family reunions or family gatherings. People are always like, oh, we should see each other other than a funeral, and then like don't put anything together so that people can actually come and be together. Or they wait 2 years later until somebody else passes. And it's just like, we say this every single time. Let's change it. Let's change the narrative. When it comes down to your life, when it comes down to what fuels you, when it comes down to what makes you happy, let's change that narrative. Start changing those things in your life that feel dull and mundane. Change it. And I promise you, you will start to see changes, just like I did. And I will tell you this until I'm blue in the face. I changed 2 things at the beginning of January 2023. And as you're going to see over the course of this self-care series, each and every month, something else changed for me. And it was because of my outlook on my life, how I wanted to show up, who I wanted to be. And that's what change and transformation and healing is really about. It's about looking at your life and looking at who you are right now and who you want to be. They may be significantly different. They may not be different at all. But either way, you have to know that you want to continue to show up for yourself, and self-care is the way to do it. And all you need to do is pick one thing that you're going to do for yourself that's going to keep you going. So my task for you this week is to look at your life and where you are right now, where you are today listening to this. I want you to look at it. And then I want you to take something. Where is it? Whether it be emotional, environmental, physical, spiritual, financial, community, occupational, or intellectual. Where in those areas of self-care can you do something for yourself this week? Make it simple. Create the plan. Work the plan. Now that we're getting into the end of this episode, what I want to do is talk about my Trinity. And as you know, this is something that you want to brag about, something that you are grateful for, and something that you desire. And I want you to sit and I want you to think about this. Okay? I want you to think about it. So for me, today, what I'm going to brag about is when I went out last night, I was looking smoking. Okay? I do not work out. I don't like to work out. Working out, the words work out make me like cringe. Because I feel like when you work out, you have to do the same things over and over again. Is this true? No. I'm a pole fitness instructor. I haven't taught in years, but the one reason why I became a pole fitness instructor, and even though it is a workout, it wasn't something that was done. You don't do the same things every single time, right? And that's me. I really, if I'm going to work out, it has to be different every time. But as I said before, I'm 37 and I'm coming into what my ex-husband coined my grown woman body. And at this point in my life, all I care about is being healthy. I care about being healthy. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I look healthy. I'm like 5'3", 135 pounds, maybe. Most of my body is muscle. I have a pooch, just like anybody else. I have a stomach pooch, right? But that doesn't matter. I look healthy. I am a big advocate, and people might get on me for this, and I honestly don't care. I am a big advocate at I understand that there are things in your life that you cannot control. But if you are healthy, if you're able to move, if you're able to walk, if you don't have pains in your body, um, whether you have all the curves or no curves, if you are healthy, that is all that matters. That's my personal opinion. Again, I'm not a doctor, but for me, that's important. You know, something needs to be done if you walk up the steps. By the way, this used to happen to me. When you walk up the steps and you get breathless, I used to have that. I would walk up the stairs in my house and I'd be like, oh, I need to go take a nap, right? But now, if I wanted to, I could go outside right now and like run a mile without stopping, right? So it's like, are you healthy? I am bragging about the fact that I am healthy, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I am healthy. And when I tell you that all of that energy was banging last night, it was banging. So I'm gonna brag about it. All right. I want to say today I am grateful for putting myself out there. For a lot of people, that's hard. And for me, it's not. I've been putting myself out there for as long as I can freaking remember. But the reason that I'm grateful for that is because it's really, truly made me who I am today. It really has. And I continue to be excited and I continue to be grateful to be able to do that and to inspire other people to do that. Because being vulnerable, being transparent, being open about who you are, the way you live your life is not always easy. But I am so grateful that I get to do that. I'm so grateful that I get to share that part of me. And it doesn't take anything away from me. And that's what I love. It doesn't take anything away from me. If anything, it inspires me to do more. It inspires me to give more. And then at this moment, a desire. Desires are always hard for me, and I'm not entirely sure why. And it's probably because I usually like repeat the same thing, which by the way is okay. If you are doing your Trinity, and you are writing down the same things, that's okay. If you have a grateful journal or gratitude journal and you are writing down the same things that you're grateful for every day, that is okay. If you want to brag about the same thing over and over and over again, here is your microphone. Um, but I know that I've said this. Um, but my desire is to travel. And I actually have a place now that I would really desire to go. And that place is either Thailand or Bali. And these two places, Bali has come up a lot more than Thailand. But I had a friend who was an expat for years. And she now lives in Miami. And she was telling me about like all the trips that she went on to all the places. And Thailand and Bali were, I think she went to Bali, but Thailand was definitely on the list. And she was like, it's so beautiful, so pretty, it's a great experience, all of this jazz. So to be a little more specific, my desire is to travel to Thailand or Bali and or Bali. Now, of course, in the United States, these tickets are a little bit expensive, but I don't think that really matters. My desire is to go to these places, and I know that I will find a way. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode today. And I want you guys to reach out to me and let me know what your progress is, or if you have any questions or comments or concerns, right? And then I also want you to share with me your wins, because I feel like that's so important. We don't give ourselves our flowers enough. This is your chance to give yourself flowers. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to Dear Tay, You Got This. If you liked this podcast episode and found it helpful, please subscribe today and share this episode with a friend. If you have any questions, comments, wins, or would like to be featured on this podcast, please call or text 330-552-7234 or email info@desirablephoenix.com. See you next week.